During World War II, there were many turning points that shifted the balance of power and set the stage for the eventual Allied victory. Two of the most significant events that come to mind when we think of pivotal moments in World War II are the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor and the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. While the attack on Pearl Harbor marked the entry of the United States into the war, the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki led to Japan's surrender and the end of World War II. But what were the causes and effects of these events? And how do they compare to one another? Let's find out. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. On December 7, 1941, the Japanese launched a surprise attack on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. The attack caught the U.S. military off guard and resulted in the deaths of more than 2,400 Americans, including civilians. Japanese hoped that the attack would cripple the U.S. Pacific Fleet and buy them time to capture the resource-rich Dutch East Indies and French Indochina. However, the attack failed to destroy enough ships to significantly weaken the U.S. fleet, and the U.S. quickly mobilized its forces to retaliate. The attack on Pearl Harbor is considered a major turning point in World War II because it led to the United States entering the war. Prior to the attack, the U.S. had maintained a policy of neutrality, but following the attack, Congress declared war on Japan, and the U.S. became fully involved in the conflict. The entry of the U.S. into the war tipped the balance of power in favor of the Allies and ultimately contributed to their victory. In addition to its strategic value, the attack on Pearl Harbor had profound cultural and political implications. It was the first major attack on U.S. soil, and it shocked the American public who had not yet been fully mobilized for the war effort. The attack also led to a wave of anti-Japanese sentiment in the U.S. and the internment of Japanese Americans. 2. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. On August 1945, the United States dropped 2 atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, leading to an estimated 129,000 to 226,000 deaths. The bombings were the first and only use of nuclear weapons in warfare, and they had a profound impact on the course of human history. The decision to use atomic bombs on Japan was a controversial one that involved complex strategic and ethical considerations. Supporters of the bombings argued that they were necessary to end the war quickly and save lives, while critics argued that the bombs were used to demonstrate American power and that the civilian casualties were a war crime. The bombings were also a significant turning point in the war, as they led to Japan's surrender and the end of World War II. Prior to the bombings, the Japanese had been resisting the Allies with fanatical determination and had shown no willingness to surrender. However, the devastating power of the atomic bombs led to the Japanese government's decision to surrender unconditionally, which brought the war to an end. In addition to its immediate impact on the war, the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki also had long-term effects on international relations and global politics. The bombings ushered in the atomic age and led to a new era of international competition and cooperation regarding nuclear technology. They also contributed to the division of the world into 2 opposing camps during the Cold War. 3. Hiroshima, August 6, 1945. In the early hours of August 6, 1945, an American B-29 bomber, known as the Enola Gay, flew over the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The plane was carrying a device that would change the world forever, the first atomic weapon ever deployed in combat. At 8:15 a.m. local time, the device was dropped, and 6 days later, the world would never be the same. When the bomb exploded over Hiroshima, it unleashed a force of destruction that was unprecedented in human history.
Ow.
The explosion killed an estimated 80,000 people instantly, with another 70,000 injured. The city was in ruins, and the surrounding areas were devastated. The aftermath of the bombing was catastrophic. Many of the survivors suffered from radiation poisoning and other long-term health effects from the nuclear fallout. The psychological toll on the survivors was also immense. They witnessed the horrors of the bombing and the subsequent devastation, and many struggled to come to terms with the loss of life and destruction of their city. Despite the devastation, the people of Hiroshima showed incredible resilience in the aftermath of the bombing. They worked tirelessly to rebuild their city and their lives, and they became symbols of hope and recovery for people around the world. Today, Hiroshima is a vibrant city that hosts numerous festivals and cultural events. It is also home to the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park and Museum, which serve as a reminder of the horrors of war and the importance of peace and nuclear non-proliferation. 4. Nagasaki, August 9, 1945. Just 3 days after the bombing of Hiroshima, another atomic bomb was dropped on the Japanese city of Nagasaki. This second nuclear weapon test was part of the efforts by the United States to bring a swift end to World War II. On August 9, 1945, the United States dropped the second atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Nagasaki. The timing of the second bombing was intended to allow for a wider geographic spread of the effects of the weapons testing. As with the bombing of Hiroshima, the destruction caused by the Nagasaki bombing was catastrophic. An estimated 39,000 people were killed instantly, with another 62,000 injured. The city was in ruins, and the surrounding areas were also devastated. Like Hiroshima, Nagasaki faced a long and difficult road to recovery in the aftermath of the bombing. The physical damage to the city was immense, but the psychological toll on the survivors was equally significant. Many of them suffered from radiation poisoning and other long-term health effects due to the nuclear fallout. Additionally, the trauma of witnessing such a devastating event left many struggling to cope with the loss of life and destruction around them. Despite the challenges they faced, the people of Nagasaki demonstrated remarkable resilience. They worked hard to rebuild their city and their lives and became symbols of hope and recovery for people around the world. Today, Nagasaki is a thriving city that hosts various cultural events and festivals. It is also home to the Nagasaki Atomic Bomb Museum, which serves as a reminder of the horrors of war and the importance of nuclear non-proliferation. The story of Nagasaki is a powerful reminder of the destructive capabilities of nuclear weapons and the importance of working towards a more peaceful world. V. Japan's surrender and the end of World War II. The 6th day of August 1945 was a day that would change the course of history forever. It was on this day that the United States dropped an atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, on August 9th, another atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. These two events had a profound impact on Japan's decision to surrender and bring an end to World War II. The Japanese had been fighting a desperate and losing battle against the combined forces of the United States, Great Britain, China, and the Soviet Union. The atomic bombs caused massive devastation and loss of life, and it became clear to the Japanese leadership that their country could not withstand another nuclear attack. With the support of the United States, the Soviet Union declared war on Japan and began advancing through Manchuria, facing total annihilation. Japan's Emperor Hirohito announced the country's surrender on August 15, 1945. This day is known as Victory over Japan Day, or VJ Day. Marked the official end of World War II. The surrender of Japan brought to an end over 6 years of global conflict that had resulted in an estimated 40 to 85 million deaths. The world was left in a state of shock and mourning as people began to come to terms with the magnitude of the loss of life and destruction that had been caused by the war. V. Long-term effects and legacy. The end of World War II marked the beginning of a new era in world history. The war had a profound impact on the global balance of power and led to significant changes in international relations, economics, and culture. One of the most significant long-term effects of the war was the emergence of the United States and the Soviet Union as superpowers. Both countries had emerged from the war with vast military and economic resources, and they quickly became the dominant players on the global stage. This rivalry would define much of the second half of the 20th century and would lead to the Cold War. Another major long-term effect of World War II was the decolonization of many parts of the world. As European powers became exhausted and weakened by the war, their ability to maintain colonial empires declined, and many colonies gained independence. This process would continue throughout the latter half of the 20th century and would lead to the end of colonialism around the world. World War II also had a profound impact on the global economy. The war had caused widespread destruction and had resulted in the deaths of millions of people. But it also created new opportunities for trade and investment as the world began to rebuild. The United States in particular emerged from the war as a major economic power and would play a key role in shaping the global economy for decades to come. Finally, World War II had a lasting impact on global culture. The war had exposed the horrors of totalitarianism and had led to the creation of international organizations such as the United Nations, which were designed to promote peace and cooperation. The war also led to major advances in technology, medicine, and science, which would have a profound impact on the course of human history. Overall, World War II was a pivotal moment in world history that had far-reaching effects that are still felt today. The war led to the end of colonialism, the emergence of new superpowers, and the creation of new international organizations and agreements. It also had a profound impact on global culture and led to major advances in science, medicine, and technology. Conclusion and conclusion. Both the attack on Pearl Harbor and the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were watershed moments in World War II. The attack on Pearl Harbor propelled the United States into the war and demonstrated Japan's military prowess. Conversely, the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki showcased the devastating power of nuclear weapons and led to Japan's surrender, effectively ending World War II. While the immediate consequences of these events were significant, their long-term effects on global geopolitics, international relations, and technological development continue to resonate today. The legacy of these events serves as a stark reminder of the costs of war and the importance of pursuing peaceful resolutions to conflicts. We must learn from the past to ensure that such atrocities are never repeated, and we must work tirelessly to build a better future for all humanity. Thank you, and see you next time.